From Studio 1A in Tampa, Florida, comes a talk show that really feels your pain and tells you like it is. We love America and all that freedom-loving Americans want to protect. Live from coast to coast and on your radio, it's For the People with Keith Allen.
We'll help you survive this thing called life. We're for the people. Whatever your source of stress or strife, for the people is there.
From the soggy Tampa, Florida, this is For the People, and I'm your humble host, Keith Allen, staying dry on this Wednesday, June the 7th, 2017, and we've been kind of telling you about the wildfires here in Florida, and we've been getting just a bunch of rain here. How about you? Lots of rain here. It's been very, very soggy, and I haven't been able to go out in the morning and actually go cycling for the last several days. I mean, I'm kind of jonesing to exercise a little bit, and my only opportunity now may be Friday, but more rain on the weekends. But this is good. This is good for the state because, you know, we've had like over 350 consecutive wildfires, and this constant rain. Just talked to a friend of mine in Miami. It's the whole state is getting the rain that it desperately needs. So it's a good thing. And staying dry. I have my rain jacket. And, man, it was just coming down. We got some lightning even coming down right now. So good purging. The streets flood around here, so you have to be real careful on rainstorms where you turn down, especially if you're in a vehicle. Now, if you got one of those big SUVs, that's a good thing. But that's a constant problem here where we do our broadcast in South Tampa. It's got roads that just wash out rather quickly, so I have to pay attention to the local news so that way I don't end up on one of the side streets having to abandon and float down somewhere. Just not a good scene there, but we're getting a lot of rain, that's for sure. We're going to keep the show going, and what's going on right now is Rod Rosenstein talking FISA at the Senate Intelligence Committee hearing, and so much going on with the Senate Intel Committee. They're holding this big open hearing on Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, and on the list of their witnesses are Daniel Coates, Director of the National Intelligence, Andrew McCabe, Acting Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, along with Admiral Michael Rogers, Director of the National Security Agency, and Rod Rosenstein, he's the Deputy Attorney General over at the Department of Justice. And just monitoring it, listening to it, I'm going to give you a little flavor, some of the sounds going on, but they're just not really answering anything. Holding these open hearings is ridiculous. They're literally not answering. You got to hear. It's very painful. It's like pulling teeth to get any information. But closed hearings, sure, they'll say anything without the tapes rolling, without cameras rolling. Then they'll be able to share everything they make it sound like. But they can't do it in the open public, so it leads us to wonder whatever happens. And no wonder that people don't really trust government to begin with about what's going on with Russia, with the NSA, the whole kip and caboodle. It's it's painful, and what a waste of money. Seriously, we want to get to the bottom of possibly collusion, possible mismanagement, not doing their jobs properly. Did the president do anything wrong? Did you do anything wrong? Were you strong-armed? Here's some of the flavor right now that you got to listen to. We got to paint through this. This is not, a whole hour or anything like that, but just enough so we could hear this back and forth shenanigans. You didn't miss a whole lot. That's why I'm only going to play a little bit. Here we go.
To take a look at this, to see if Admiral Rogers laid out the procedures. Are these the right procedures? Should we be doing something different? Would they have recommendations that better protected people from misuse of this? And they've all agreed to do that. So I think it's a legitimate issue to follow up on. I've talked to the agency heads about doing so, and they're willing to do it.
And if I could, I also have an internal review that I have directed. Given all the attention, given the focus, let's step back, let's reassess it, and let's ask ourselves, is there anything that would suggest we need to do something different in the process?
Good. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'd like to more
thoroughly answer the first question the Senator asked, which is, Senator Feinstein, my understanding is that an amicus was used in 2015. That decision was made by the court. It's the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, which has the statutory authority, if the court believes it's appropriate in a particular case, to appoint an amicus. So my understanding is that that was done in 2015. Thank you.
Well, would you feel it would be helpful to make it a part of the regular certification process?
Well, my understanding, Senator, is that the statute permits the court to do it if the court believes it's appropriate. So I believe the court has that authority, and I'd leave it to the judges to decide when it's appropriate to exercise that.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr.
Senator Rubio.
Thank you all for being here. I understand fully the need of the President of the United States to be able to have conversations with members of the intelligence community that are protected, particularly in a classified setting. I also understand that the ability of this community to function depends both on its credibility, that its work that it's doing is in the national security interest of the United States, and also the importance of its independence, that it is not an extension of politics no matter which administration is at play. And the absence of either one of those two things impacts everything we do, including this debate we're having here today. And the challenge that we have now is that while the folks here with us this morning are constrained in what they can say, there are people that apparently work for you that are not, and are constantly speaking to the media about things and saying things. And it puts the Congress in a very difficult position because the issue of oversight on both your independence and on your credibility falls on us. And I actually think if what is being said to the media is untrue, then it is unfair to the President of the United States. And if it is, then it is true that it is something the American people deserve to know, and we as an oversight committee need to know in order to conduct our job. And so my questions are geared to Director Coates and Admiral Rogers. You have testified that you have never felt pressured or threatened by the President or by anyone to influence any ongoing investigation by the FBI. Are you prepared to say that you have never felt that you've never been asked by the President or the White House to influence an ongoing investigation?
Well, Senator, I just hate to keep repeating this, but I'm going to do it. I am willing to come before the committee and tell you what I know and what I don't know. What I'm not willing to do is to share what I think is confidential information that ought to be protected in an open hearing. And so I'm not prepared to answer your question today.
Director Coates, I would just say, and with incredible respect that I have for you, I am not asking for classified information. I am asking whether or not you have ever been asked by anyone to influence an ongoing investigation.
I understand, but I'm just not going to go down that road in a public forum. And I also was asked the question if the special prosecutor called upon me to meet with him to ask his questions. I said I would be willing to do that.
I likewise stand by my previous comment.
Okay, well then, in the interest of time, let me ask both of you, has anyone ever asked you, now or in the past, this administration or any administration, to issue a statement that you knew to be false?
For me, I stand by my previous statement. I've never been directed to do anything in the course of my 3+ years as the director of the National Security Agency
asked.
that I felt to be inappropriate, nor have I felt pressure to do so.
Have you ever been asked to say something that isn't true?
I stand by my
panel. Is anyone aware of any effort by anyone in the White House or elsewhere to seek advice on how to influence any investigation?
My answer is absolutely no, Senator.
No one has anything to add to that.
I don't understand the question.
The question is, are you aware of any efforts by anyone in the White House or the executive branch looking for advice from other members of the intelligence community about how to potentially influence an investigation?
Are you talking about me? No.
No.
Okay. Who wants to answer? I'm sorry.
I'm not sure I understand the question, but if you're asking whether I'm aware of requests to other people in the intelligence community, I am not.
Seeking advice on how we could potentially influence someone. You're not aware of anyone ever saying or reporting that to you?
No, sir.
Has anyone ever come forward and said, I just got a call from someone at the White House asking me what is the best way to influence someone on an investigation?
I've never received anything.
I have no direct knowledge of such a call.
There's an allegation made in one of the press reports, and that's why I asked. On a separate topic. I'm sorry. Who does? Mr. Rosenstein.
Our confusion, Senator, we just want to make sure we're clear on the question. The answer is no, as I understand it, but I'm not sure I'm familiar with the particular media report that you're referring to.
All right. I'm running out of time. I do want to ask this because this is important. Did the NSA routinely and extensively and repeatedly violate the rules that were put in place in 2011 to minimize the risk of collection of upstream information?
Have we had compliance incidents? Yes. Have we reported every one of those to the court? Yes. Have we reported those to our congressional oversight in Congress? Yes. Have we reported those to the Department of Justice and the Director of National Intelligence? Yes.
Did, under the Obama administration, was there a significant uptick in efforts and incidents of unmasking from 2012 to 2016?
I don't know that. I have to take that for the record.
Who would know that?
To be honest, we have the data, but I don't know that off the top of my head. I couldn't tell you unmasking on a year-by-year basis for the last 5 years. I apologize. I just don't know off the top of my head.
Thank you.
Senator Wyden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I've noted the conversations you've had with my colleagues with respect to the content of conversations that you may have had with the President. My question is a little different. Did any of you four write memos, take notes, or otherwise record yours or anyone else's interactions with the President related to the Russia investigation?
I don't take any notes.
Let's just get the four of you on the record.
Senator, I rarely take notes. I've actually taken a few today. But I am not going to answer questions concerning the Russia investigation. I think it's important for you to understand.
Not on whether you wrote a memo.
I'm not going to answer any questions,
Okay.
Senator, about the Russia.
My time's going to be short. Whether you wrote a memo, notes, anything.
I also am not going to comment on any conversations I may have had or notes taken or not taken relative to the Russia investigation.
Okay.
And likewise, I'd take the same position.
Director Coates, on March 23rd, you testified to the Armed Services Committee that you were not aware of the President or White House personnel contacting anyone in the intelligence community with a request to drop the investigation into General Flynn. Yesterday, the Washington Post reported that you had been asked by the President to intervene with Director Comey to back off of the FBI's focus on General Flynn. Which one of those is accurate?
Senator, will say once again, I'm not going to get into any discussion on that in an open hearing.
Both of them can't be accurate, Mr. Director. Mr. Director, as recently as April, you promised Americans that you would provide what you called a relevant metric for the number of law-abiding Americans who were swept up in the FISA 702 searches. This morning, you went back on that promise. And you said that even putting together a sampling, a statistical estimate, would jeopardize national security. I think that is a very, very damaging position to stake out. We're going to battle it out in the course of this because there are a lot of Americans who share our view that security and liberty are not mutually exclusive. We can have both. You rejected that this morning. You went back on a pledge, and I think it is damaging to the public. Now, let me...
Senator, could I answer the question?
Mr. Director, my time is short, and I want to ask you about one other 702.
Well, I would like to answer your question.
Briefly.
What I pledged to you in my confirmation hearing is that I would make every effort to try to find out why we were not able to come to a specific number of collection on U.S. persons. I told you I would consult with Admiral Rogers. I told you I would go to the National Security Agency to try to determine whether or not I was able to do that. I went out there. I talked to them. They went through the technical details. There were extensive efforts on the part of, I learned, on the parts of NSA to try to come to get you an appropriate answer. We were not able to do that.
Respectfully, that's not what you said. Use a relevant metric. Now let me go to my other question.
But we were not able to do it, to achieve it. So working to do it is different than doing it.
You told the American people that even a statistical sample would be jeopardizing America's national security. That is inaccurate